Welcome to Chalk Talk, Danville Public Schools weekly news magazine. I'm Diane Locker, your host. Over the years, you've heard me say many times that I don't know a lot about sports, and especially don't know a lot about football. When you don't know a lot about a subject, you go out and you get the expert. And I'm at George Washington High School, and I have the expert with me. That's Nick Anderson, the coach of the GW High School winning football team. Did I get that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you've been with us, 2 years?
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit then about you before we talk about this year's football team. Now, if you've been here 2 years, where were you prior to that?
I was at a high school called Kinston High School in eastern North Carolina.
And earlier I made you go through that whole thing and place it for me. You said it was near Goldsboro?
It's near Goldsboro. A lot of people are familiar with Greenville, North Carolina, where the East Carolina Pirates play. It's about 30 miles east of Greenville.
Now, were you a football coach there?
Yes, I was the head coach at Kinston for 3 years before I came here.
Let's kind of walk back even before head coach at Kingston. Have you always been into sports, into football? Did you play football when you were in high school? How did you get to where you are now?
Well, before Kinston, I was at a high school in Greenville, North Carolina, called J.H. Rose High School. I was there for 5 years. But before that, I was in college, and I've been a part of football every single season since I was 5, except for 3 years. And that was when I was in college. So every year that football comes around, I'm usually busy.
Okay, so you are someone who has played football, coached, and you came to us with all of that experience. And with that experience, you've done some really neat things for our football team. Let's talk about your first year here.
Well, my first year here, we finished up the season 10-2. We got knocked out in the second round of the playoffs against Cortland, the team that we just faced last Friday night, and got a little revenge on them, so that was good. But we've had a lot of success due to the players that we have here and the coaching staff that we have.
Now, coaching staff, how many coaches are on your staff?
I think we got right at 15 right now because we have our middle school program incorporated with us also.
You've got the middle school. Does that mean that from our middle school students that are looking towards playing football for GW, when they come over here, that they're already working with you?
Yeah, we're an all-inclusive group. The middle school is running a similar offense and defense that they will learn and run when they get to JV, 9th and 10th grade, and then when they eventually get to varsity. They've already been in the offense and the defense for a few years now.
But we don't have football teams in our middle schools, do we?
Yes. Bonner and Westwood, the kids that go to those two schools are all on the same football team, and they're the GW middle school football team.
And they play other middle schools around the state, like you do and I think you're in the Western League?
Well, they play not necessarily the state, but they play local middle schools around here, the Chathams and the Tunstals, the middle schools in those districts.
The majority of players that you have on your team, did they come up through that middle school channel, or did they come from some other way?
No, most of them came through our middle school program. We do have a few transfers, like when families move and we get a new kid in here or there, but the majority of our players came through our middle school program.
Now, to someone like me, 15 coaches sounds like an awful lot. But I remember some years we did some filming out on the field, and I saw that the coaches are kind of spread around and working with different groups. Do each one of those 15 coaches have some area that's separate? Or are they all working on basically the same thing?
Well, yes, and that's also with 3 football teams. We have a middle school team, a JV team, and a varsity team. So all of those coaches are included in that group. But yes, each coach has a certain area that they're responsible for. For example, I coach the quarterbacks. We have an offensive line coach and we have a linebackers coach. So each coach is responsible for a smaller area.
When we talk about the football teams, you're talking about the middle school on up. How many students are we talking about?
Well, on our varsity team right now, we have 64 kids. In our JV squad, we had probably around 40, and then our middle school team has about 35. So the numbers do increase very quickly.
Yes. Now, 64 on your team, your varsity team. On an average night, how many of those 64 get a chance to play?
Well, we're very fortunate that we don't have a lot of kids going both ways.
What do you mean going both ways?
That means players playing offense and defense. So a lot of our guys can rest and get their win back when the defense is on the field, and not have to play on offense also.
So they are kind of more specialized in
Yeah.
what they do?
Yes, and it's very beneficial when the playoffs start happening, because you want your guys as fresh as possible. That way, at the fourth quarter, they're not real tired.
Okay. Now, we talked about what you did before you got to GW. We talked about last year. What's really important is this year, and that's the reason that I'm here today, because it's my understanding, and like I said, I don't know a lot about football, and correct me if I get something wrong here, but you are undefeated in your regular season. You have a undefeated season, and isn't that the first we've had since about, I think, 1996?
Yeah, I think it's been quite some time. I'm not a history buff and know everything that's in the past with GW, because there is a lot of football history here. But yeah, it has been some time since they've been undefeated.
All right. Regular season undefeated. Now, at this point when we're filming today, and I know that we're not through with all of the playoff games, how many playoff games have you been in?
Total 4, counting last year. 2 this year and 2 last year.
Now, this year we've been to 2 playoff games. And earlier I think you said to me something like, it's life or death now every time you play. I asked you how many playoff games you had, and you said, this is sort of like life and death. You have another one this weekend.
Yeah.
If you lose it, you're out.
If we lose, we are done.
But you're done with a winning season.
We are done with our season completely.
Yes, but what I mean is that no matter what happens from this point on, you've had a winning season.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, no matter win or lose Saturday, the game is on Saturday. We've had a very good season, a very, very productive season. The kids have played well.
In looking over some of the things that have been written about the games and everything, it seemed like to me, and you either played high-scoring games or shutouts. And by shutouts, I mean you were like 43-0 or something like that. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we hired a new defensive coordinator this year who's teaching at our school now, and they ended up setting a school record of having 5 shutouts this season.
Hey, and that's pretty good, folks, that I actually picked up on something like that and got it right about sports. So, but I did notice that. They were either high-scoring, and one game, and I can't remember who you played, but they said it was probably one of your most significant games of the season because you really won, and I think it was almost a shutout, because of something from last year, a Magna something, the school. I can't remember the name of the school, but you kind of went back and really won to overcome something that happened last year?
Yeah, we played, I think you're referring to the Magna Vista game.
Yes.
Last year, they beat us on senior night at the end of the game with a touchdown that they had to score to win. Then they had us at their place this year. And we had a very, very good game against them. I think we scored 55 points, and we played very well. And it was their homecoming and senior night on the same night, and we got a little revenge on them.
Gotcha. Big time. I also read a statement that you talking about the team this year, and you're setting with them in the first of the year and setting goals. When you set a goal with a football team, winning is a goal, I'm sure. But what types of goals did you set?
Well, we set some season goals. We have our weekly goals that we have every week for each game. But these are more bigger goals in the long term. The first goal was to have an undefeated non-district schedule. So before we started our district play, to go undefeated, and we accomplished that. Then our second goal was to win a district championship, and we got that one. And our last goal that we have in front of us is a state championship. And I feel like it's very important that you set those goals at a high level. For one, it helps the kids know that it is obtainable. And I think that this group can get it done. if they play very well each Friday night.
Are we playing with a lot of seniors this year?
We got a good mix. Our quarterback's a senior, and one of our wideouts is a senior, and two of our linemen on offense are seniors.
I guess it sounds like you're going to have a good, strong team coming in next year.
We should. We're losing some key positions, but we got a lot of guys who have a lot of playing experience that are coming in, and it's just not there, just thrown into the fire and not having any snaps before. So they'll have a chance to get some experience this year, but then when it's their turn to step up and be the starter next year, I feel very confident in them.
We're going to take a short break now. When we come back after the break, we're going to bring on one of those key players that you just mentioned, and that's going to be your quarterback. So be sure to come back after the break. We're going to hear a little bit more from Nick, but we're also going to meet the quarterback that has had a very successful year.
Having devices in my classroom helps foster an engaging atmosphere for my students. They're having to get a topic, research the topic, and then create an assignment using that topic. The students are more engaged on the devices because they're having to work in a collaborative group. They're having to research a topic and then create something for that assignment. Danville Public Schools wants our students to be on the cutting edge of technology as we prepare our students for an ever-changing economy.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I'm at GW High School, and in the first half of the show, I was talking with Nick Anderson here about the football team. He's a head coach, and one of the things he said, he talked about his key players. One of his key players is the young man standing next to me, and that's Hunter Burns. Hunter, quarterback.
Yep.
Senior.
Yes, ma'am.
And a big talker, I can tell. Okay, Hunter, how long have you been on the GW football team?
I've played since my freshman year.
Okay, so you've been playing since your freshman year. Have you been quarterback since your freshman year?
I have, but I played on the JV team my 9th and 10th grade year.
So this is your second year on the varsity team.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's also your second year with Coach Anderson.
Yes, ma'am.
I could put him on the spot now, but I'm not going to. Now, you're having a wonderful year. And every time I read anything in the paper about what GW is doing, I see your name. So you've had a very significant year. How do you feel about this year and what you've accomplished?
Well, most of what I've accomplished isn't just because of me. My O-line has been great this year, and I've been lucky to have great receivers around me and running backs who run really well, so it opens up the pass a whole lot.
What do you think football has done for you?
It's kind of given me a sense of who I am. Gives me something to do. Helps me take out my stress. Gives me something to look forward to.
I also did a show recently on Uwantes, and I understand that you're also part of the Uwantes magazine.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Do you write poetry, stories?
No, I really just take pictures, and it's just kind of like an easy class that I'm just kind of in.
I can't believe you said it's kind of like an easy class. It's not an easy class when they won again this year and have won many, many years because of some of that photography and stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'm the main contributor to that, so.
I don't think you're going to claim to be the main contributor to anything. I think you're a star on the football team, and that's kind of hard for you to admit.
Yes, I don't really kind of like to brag, so.
Okay. I'm going to brag for you. Is that all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you're a senior. What happens next year?
Guess I go to college, I guess.
For what? What is your big goal?
I don't really know yet. I don't really think that far ahead. I'm just focused on our football season right now, so I guess we'll see after that ends.
Are you looking towards college football?
I guess if the opportunity presents itself.
I think you would like to do that. I think we have a young man here that really does not want to brag. So I'm going to let you do that for him. I mean, I think he's had an exceptional year.
Hunter's a very humble kid. He understands that, his success is a result of how other players are playing around him. But the bottom line is if he's not making those plays when he has the opportunity, then our offense is not as successful.
he made a statement a little bit earlier, and I think it's something I read about too. They said that he did absolutely fantastic in making, the Hunter does, in making his plays, but that the one thing he had was receivers. They were always there for him.
Yeah, we're very fortunate here that we have a good bit of athletes that he can use at his disposal at the receiver position. His main job is to, figure out how the defense is lining up in his pre-snap reads, and get the ball to those receivers on time and accurate. And he does a very good job at his part of that, that job, and executing those plays. And then it's up to the receivers to do their part of the play and make those plays for us.
Now, if Hunter's a senior and he's going to be graduating, do you already know who's going to be, let's say, who's going to replace Hunter as the quarterback next year?
Well, we have a couple kids that are battling it out for that job.
Let me clarify something. When you say they're battling it out for that job, how do the students, how do they make themselves known to you to become the next Hunter?
Well, here when they come to play football, we let them pick their position that they want to start out with, and then through coach's evaluation and understand what each kid brings to the table, we try to place them in the right position for our team to be successful. So right now we have 2 kids that we're working on that will hopefully be able to fill his shoes.
Hunter, one of the things you said when I was talking to you earlier, and I was teasing you about your answers sometimes, but I asked you about being the quarterback and how you felt about that and having a winning season, and your answer was it was teamwork. Do you think that's one of the main things that you learn in being part of football, baseball, basketball, everything?
Yeah, it's a big part of it. If you don't have a good team, then nothing's going to work. You can have the best players, but if they don't work together, it's not going to work out for you. Our team this year has done a really good job of coming together. We're real close as a whole. A lot of us have been playing our whole lives together, so that's helped with the teamwork.
I think what you're saying is they know each other. They have worked together. What you said earlier was that you were very fortunate in the team you had this year that everybody kind of had their specialty and is, from what I've heard, very good at what they do. Your quarterback, your receivers, everyone. Also, they've been together, I would imagine, a lot of them since middle school.
Yeah, a lot of them have played even before that. They've played together in our rec league system here in Danville. So the chemistry that these guys have with one another, knowing what the kids are going to do on a certain play. Sometimes I expect them to do one thing, and then both of them are on the same page and they're doing something totally different. But it works because they've played football for so long together.
Hunter, how important do you think it is that you and the other people on the team have been together, maybe since middle school?
It's been a big part of our success. I know what our guys are thinking, especially my main receiver, Malik Clements. I've played with him since 2nd grade. We've been on the same team ever since we were little, and we've been best friends. That helps. I always know what he's going to do because I've played with him for so long.
I guess in the midst of a football game, and we're watching the game, and it looks like everything is kind of like wild and going on, but you probably, in what you're just saying there, that individual and you probably have a language that doesn't need a lot, that you know what you need to do.
Yeah, well, I can usually tell what he's going to do and his tendencies. We've gotten pretty good at communicating without actually talking on the field, so it makes it a whole lot easier when I actually know what he's going to do instead of what I think he's going to do.
You and I had a conversation earlier about when you came to Danville, and you talked about how people felt about GW High School here in Danville. You talked about the history of football here at GW High School. It has a long tradition, and people that are really care about it. How important is it to you to have that support?
It's huge. I mean, when you come out on a Friday night and you see all the fans in the stands and they're taking their time, their personal time to come out and watch these kids play, it means a lot. These guys work extremely hard for hours upon hours, Monday through Thursday, just for a 2-hour block on a Friday night. A lot of people don't see the amount of time and studying that these kids do for the game of football so that we can be successful on each Friday night. And when they get out there and they look in the stands and they see that there's a lot of people here, it makes them feel good and it helps them play a lot better.
Now, Hunter, what would you say about that? How do you feel when you're out there playing? Do you really notice who's out there?
Yeah, it always is. You can always tell like how much support we got or stuff like that. Like when we play crummy teams, a lot of times we won't get that much support out. But this year it's been pretty good. Our fan base has been pretty consistent. We got a bunch of the same people coming to our games, like some of the students supporting, and especially at the Magna Vista game, that played a key role. Like the whole field was completely full, even around the outside edges of the fence.
So your away games, are they attended by locals?
Yeah, I mean, we have a good traveling crowd that comes with us and watches our games. And, you know, we just appreciate everyone who comes to the games because it does mean a lot to these kids and for all the hard work that they put in.
Well, I imagine that when you're around town, too, that now you are a very recognized person.
Yeah, I'm at Food Line or, you know, getting gas or something. You know, people, you know, congratulations on the win. And, you know, those things feel good.
I think what's really neat, though, is that win that you're talking about and that you're going to have as a team and you as a coach is a win for the community. They are really into what's going on here at GW High School. I want to thank you for talking to me, and I especially want to thank you for talking to me. And I want to, on behalf of Chalk Talk and everybody in this community and Danville Public Schools, wish you the best luck in the world on the games you've got coming up. Now, I believe you've got another championship playoff coming up.
We have a game Saturday at Salem at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Best of luck.
Thank you.
And thanks for spending time with me today, and welcome to Danville.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank all of you for being with us, and I know you are with me in wishing Hunter and Coach Anderson here the best of luck this year. They've had a wonderful year. No matter what happens from here on in, we have a winning football team this year. Thanks for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you next week.